no.
Hey, it's time for another patented Greg's Humorous Plot Recap. Snarkier than just reading a Wikipedia page. Apparently something of value? Today we're talking about Ghost Beach, which is about a brother and a sister visiting fun, older relatives in an isolated location during summer break, only to discover the creepy and the supernatural. Which is also the plot of Deep Trouble and The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. I don't want to say R.L. Stine was lazy, but 3 out of the last 4 books have had the exact same setup. Our siblings this time around are Jerry and Terri Sadler, because rhyming names are fun and not at all confusing. Jerry is our point of view character, which is a shame because his sister Terri is so much cooler. She's curious, adventurous, and has a ton of hobbies, including birdwatching, flower pressing, and getting etchings of tombstones. Jerry's most defining trait is that he doesn't like that stuff. What does he like? No clue. His entire character is not Terri. There are a couple of New Jersey City kids visiting their cousin's cabin along a New England beach. And when I say cousins, I mean they're in their 80s. I'm not entirely sure the genealogical gymnastics you have to do to have cousins that are 70 years older than you, but functionally it's no different than if they went to their grandparents' place. Brad and Agatha Sadler are nice, simple folk who putter around the garden and make chicken pot pies. There isn't a lot to do here besides explore the empty beach and nearby woods, but the kids don't seem to mind. We're spared the usual, man, if I was home right now I'd be playing all the video games. Terri seems genuinely interested in the area, and Jerry is genuinely interested in not liking Terry's interests, so they're never bored. The book opens with Jerry and Terri exploring a nearby beach graveyard the book actually opens with a nightmare sequence where Jerry and Terri are exploring a graveyard at night, only to be attacked by zombies. Dream sequences in horror are kinda lazy. They can be done well, but usually they're just a way to fill time and provide a scare without having that scare come from the story. But the book takes a lazy idea and somehow makes it lazier. "Jerry, what's your problem?" Terri asked. I blinked. Terri stood beside me on the rocky strip of beach. I stared out at the calm ocean water beyond us and shook my head. "Wow, that was weird," I murmured. I was remembering a bad dream I had a few months ago. So, not only is it just a dream, it was just a dream being remembered months after the fact. It's not even a nightmare inspired by Jerry's current environment. He didn't have it here at Brad and Agatha's, but back in their Jersey apartment. The book opens with a nightmare past its expiration date. Anyway, with that waste of space out of the way, we've got 2 kids exploring the graveyard, which dates back to the 17th century and has a lot of people buried there with the last name Sadler. We later learn that an English colony with the entire Sadler family tried to settle in the area, but most of them died in the winter. Jerry and Terri are the descendants of the surviving colonists. They continue to explore the beach and discover an ominous-looking cave. Poking around the entrance, they're suddenly attacked by what appears to be some kind of bat monster, which is then revealed to be a goofy kite. The kite belongs to 3 kids, Sam, Louisa, and Nat Sadler. They live in the area and act pretty cold to our protagonists at first, then give an ominous warning about the cave. "Don't go near there," they say, "because a ghost lives inside." Brad and Agatha also warn the kids to stay away from the cave, but for practical reasons, like you could slip and die. The next day, Jerry and Terri go exploring the woods, Terri looking for a plant called Indian pipe, or commonly called ghost plant, which is notable because it's bone white and tends to grow around dead things. Kudos to R.L. Stine, this is a real plant that would grow in the area. Jerry thinks he spots one of these plants, but it's not what it seems. Another hard tug of the strange root brought up a huge mound of dirt. I glanced down into the hole I had made and uttered a sharp cry. "Terri, come here!" I managed to choke out. "I found a skeleton! His name is Papyrus, and we're going on a date!" It turns out to be a dog skeleton, which is pretty sad, but, nature happens. Sam, Louisa, and Nat show up again, scaring our protagonists. This is one of those books where most of the scares are kids trying to scare each other, which is something R.L. Stine thinks children are just doing all the time. Discussion returns to ghosts and their relationship with dogs. Nat burst into tears. Louisa put her arm around Nat's trembling shoulders. "Shush," she said. "It's all right." But Nat couldn't calm himself down. "I know what happened to this dog," he sobbed. "A ghost killed it. Dogs can tell if someone's a ghost. Dogs always bark to warn about ghosts. The book has a pretty relaxed pace. Not a whole lot actually happens in the first half or so. Jerry and Terri explore the beach, meet their 3 new friends, do a casual beach thing like playing around in a tide pool. There's even a chapter where they just go fishing. It's a fishing chapter. Usually conversation goes back to ghosts. There's a ghost in the cave, but nothing is really explained, and the only thing scaring Jerry is the other kids. Just a bunch of pop around the corner and go boo stuff. Not a hint of the supernatural so far. Finally, a thing happens. Jerry loses his beach towel and goes off to find it in the middle of the night, and when he passes a cave, there's a light shimmering in its entrance, for just a moment. When he asks his cousins about it, they give this explanation. Brad narrowed his eyes at me. "Just an optical illusion," he said curtly. Then he picked up his corn and began sawing again. "I don't understand," I told him. "What do you mean?" Brad patiently put down his corn. "Jerry, did you ever hear of the Northern Lights? Aurora Borealis?" "Sure," I said, "but that's what that flickering light was," he said, cutting me off.
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your
cave.
Yes. May I see it?
No.
Well, the mystery is too much for them, so Jerry and Terri decide to go exploring the cave. After a scare with some bats, they reach the back of the cave to discover a bearded, pale figure sitting at a table, lit by candlelight. "It's the ghost!" The 2 kids book it out of there, and when they tell the beach kids later, the 3 of them decide it's time to deal with this ghost problem once and for all. See, the cave is a magic cave, made of magic rock, and if they cave in the entrance, the ghost will be trapped in there forever. You might think to ask, why do the kids know this? And we'll eventually find out, but our protagonists don't seem too bothered with the origin of this information. Also, you would assume the ghost knows this, what with him living in the cave and all, so why is he in the cave if the only thing that can stop him is the cave? It's like a mouse sleeping in a mousetrap. It's a fool's game. Anyway, there's some convenient rocks hanging over the cave entrance. You 2 go up there and push them over while we stay below and look out for the ghost. But the ghost is quick to react, catching Jerry and Terri outside the cave and bringing them inside, and it starts to become clear that this is just like a guy. He says he's Harrison Sadler. He's from England, he's into the occult and supernatural, and has come to the States to research his ancestry. What he found was 3 little ghosts haunting up the place. Sam, Louisa, and Nat. Yes, he says the beach kids are the ghosts, not him, and he wants to trap them in the magic cave, so he's using himself as bait and is one that set up those convenient cave-in rocks. If you want proof, check out the east side of the graveyard. So our 2 protagonists leave the cave and head to the graveyard, where they find 2 freshly dug graves with 2 grave markers bearing their names, which proves nothing? I mean, it's startling and threatening and weird, but it's not direct evidence of anything, especially not the ghost or not ghost nature of any of the characters involved. Terri, however, thinks she has it figured out, and because she's the real hero of this story, she formulates a plan. She finds the 3 beach kids who say they ran away when the ghost caught our 2 protagonists and convinced them to come up to the cave entrance. When they get there, Harrison approaches and he has a dog. Puppy! Now, we did have the setup that dogs can detect ghosts, so good on that book, but as evidence of ghosts, it's pretty circumstantial. A dog may always bark at a ghost, but not everything a dog barks at is a ghost. I mean, there's a fenced-in dog 2 houses down from where I live, and it always barks at me when I walk by. Does that mean I'm a ghost? Wait, am I a ghost? No, I'm pretty sure I'm not a ghost. Well, no, definitely not a ghost. I'm not a ghost. I'm totally not a ghost. So when the dog starts barking at the 3 beach kids, that doesn't rule them out as ghosts, but it doesn't confirm it either. As long as they keep up a good poker face, they should be able to talk their way out of this situation. Thunder roared. The cave seemed to shake. The dog growled and snarled. And as I stared at the 3 kids in the wavering light, they began to change. Their hair dropped off first. It fell in clumps to the cave floor. And then their skin peeled away, curling up and falling off. until 3 grinning skulls stared at Terri and me through empty eye sockets. Hey, neat. We haven't seen that kind of spooky gore since Welcome to Dead House. But yeah, the kids copped to being ghosts real quick. It's not fair that we died so young. Why don't you stay with us, Jerry and Terri? All you have to do is die. Our 2 protagonists run out of there, and the storm, did I mention there was a storm going on? The storm knocks over those rocks, sealing the 3 ghosts and Harrison into the cave. Now you might think that we should be worried about Harrison, that the kids should run home and call the authorities and try to dig him out, save him if the ghosts haven't killed him. But no, Jerry and Terri are all, phew, glad that's over, and make their way back to Brad and Agatha's house. But it seems Harrison's dog followed the kids there, and it starts to bark at the old-timers. I realized why the dog was barking like that. He was barking at Brad and Agatha. Agatha stepped into the doorway, shaking her finger at the snarling animal. "Bad dog," she cried. "Bad dog. Now you've given away our secret, too." Terri gasped. She realized what Agatha was saying. Agatha slammed the kitchen door hard and turned back to Brad. "What a pity that dog had to show up," she said, shaking her head fretfully. "Now what do we do with these 2 kids, Brad? What do we do with the kids?" Is that like a ghost rule? That the second a dog barks at you, you have to fess up to being a ghost? Just be all, wow, what a mean dog, and leave it at that. Anyway, that's the end of the book. Brad and Agatha are also ghosts, and who knows what they might do to protect their secret. So, Ghost Beach. It's an okay book. It's a middling book, which for Goosebumps puts it in the top 10 percentile. It actually has a fairly different tone to the rest of the series I've read so far. It seems less committed to scares and more to mystery. Up until the final couple of chapters, the book feels more like a young detective book, like a Hardy Boys or a Nancy Drew. Terri specifically feels like the heroine of a Nancy Drew ripoff. She's intelligent, she's curious, she's full of trivia, and she likes to poke around. She's the one who figures out who the real ghosts in the situation are, and the one who convinces the 3 ghosts to go into the magic cave. She's the hero of the story. Though it kinda sucks then how much time we spend with Jerry, who's basically a weak sidekick here. I mean, that can work. Watson is the point of view character in the Sherlock Holmes stories, but he's also interested in Holmes's methods and contributes to the story. Jerry is in perpetual eye-rolling, my sister sure is goofy mode, and it's just along for the ride. Honestly, I think the book should have leaned more into being a mystery book. I know R.L. Stine will not, under any circumstances, give us a Goosebumps book without a supernatural element to it, but it wouldn't be too hard to tweak the plot so that this is a big misunderstanding, with both Harrison and the Beach Kids assuming the other is a ghost, but neither of them actually are ghosts and they're just giving into fear and superstition. Or make it a Scooby-Doo plot with a guy pretending to be a ghost for reasons. And the reason this book would be so easy to make non-supernatural is because these are barely ghosts. They're ghosts only in the most technical sense of the word, as in they're the spirits of dead people. But these ghosts don't exhibit any of the traits we've come to associate with ghosts. They don't pass through walls, they don't turn invisible, there's no indication that they're bound to a certain place. The 3 kids roam the area pretty freely. They appear in sunlight, unlike the ghosts from Welcome to Dead House, and living people can touch them, unlike the ghosts in The Ghost Next Door. The only supernatural thing the ghost kids demonstrate is the face melting thing, and I'm not even sure why they did that. And it gets even weirder when you consider Brad and Agatha. They're ghosts who own a house and a car. They go places. It's implied they attend family reunions, so they're not bound to the beach. They just live there. And they own things, which implies they have money. How did they get that money? Do they have pensions? Do they pay taxes? They're ghosts and they pay taxes. They're ghosts and they pop into Kmart to buy underwear and paper towels. They eat food. Are they digesting the food? They're ghosts and they eat blueberry ice cream. The ghost kids say they're lonely and that they want companions, so they plan to kill Jerry and Terri and turn them into ghosts, burying their bodies in those marked graves. Marked graves. Grave markers aren't cheap, you know. They tend to cost over $100. Where did the ghost kids get them? Or where did they get the money to pay for them? And how did they order them while having the appearance of prepubescent children? Brad and Agatha didn't appear to be in on their plans, and if the ghost kids are lonely and they have money and they're not bound to this location, why don't they just go into town and hang out at the arcade or teen center or something? And the plan won't work because, again, these ghosts aren't bound to a location. So let's say they kill Jerry and Terri, bury the bodies, and Jerry and Terri become ghosts. Then the summer ends, and Jerry and Terry's parents come to pick them up and take them back to New Jersey. Oops! And then Jerry and Terri continue to live their lives, at least for a few years until their parents realize they're not aging anymore, and Jerry and Terri are all, "Oh, yeah, we were murdered at Brad and Agatha's beach a few years ago, and we're now ghosts, which means we don't age, dogs are gonna bark at us a lot, and I guess we can make our faces melt off, but otherwise we're still normal people." And the family has to make some adjustments, probably pull the kids out of school, but it's not a nightmare scenario. In this world, being a ghost is at best a minor inconvenience. If you can, become a ghost when you're a young adult who can legally do adult things. And you're going to have to probably change your identity every 20 years or so. But otherwise, enjoy your immortality and face-melting magic trick. Harrison implies that the ghost kids have been terrorizing the area for centuries, but he never elaborates. What are they doing? Are they hurting people? Killing people? What's the threat here exactly? Yeah, it's confirmed that the ghost kids have killed a few dogs, but that's more out of self-preservation. And we don't see any other ghosts, so I don't think they're killing people. You think you'd catch wind of serial murders happening in the area. Why is the cave magic, and how do the characters know it's magic? How is Harrison surviving in that cave? He's lived there for years. Where does he get food? Is he hunting and gathering? What's he feeding his dog? Where did the dog come from? Where did all those candles come from? Where did he get the money to buy candles? What we have here is a half-decent children's mystery book that turns into a pretty lame ghost story with some pretty lame ghosts and very little internal logic. In terms of course correcting, you just gotta decide if you want to commit to the junior detective stuff or really revamp these ghosts. Figure out what their motivations are, what threat they pose, and what their history is. Obviously, the first option would be a lot easier, and the one I suggest. I give Ghost Beach a bra that's a size too small out of 10.